I read every single comment and I answer. Now, number 5. And I need your full attention here because most people skip this one and regret it. Number 5. Tart cherry powder. Most people think of tart cherries as a pie ingredient or maybe a juice they drink before bed. But tart cherry powder in its concentrated form is one of the most potent anti-inflammatory and mitochondrial support compounds you can find in nature. And almost nobody is putting it in their coffee. That is a massive mistake, especially after 60. A study published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition gave adults aged 55 to 75 a daily dose of tart cherry concentrate equivalent to about 1 tablespoon of powder for 8 weeks. The results showed a 25% reduction in inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein and interleukin-6. Why does inflammation matter for mitochondria? Because chronic low-grade inflammation, which doctors call inflammaging, is one of the top destroyers of mitochondrial function in older adults. When inflammation stays elevated day after day, it creates a toxic environment inside your cells that damages mitochondrial DNA directly. Mitochondrial DNA is much more vulnerable than the DNA in your cell nucleus because it has almost no protective covering. Think of it as an engine running without an air filter. Every bit of inflammatory debris that passes through causes permanent damage. Tart cherry powder acts like a powerful filter, neutralizing inflammatory molecules before they reach the mitochondria. A separate study in the journal Nutrients found that the specific anthocyanins in tart cherries, which are the compounds responsible for their deep red color, increased the activity of superoxide dismutase by 22% in older adults. Superoxide dismutase is one of the most important antioxidant enzymes your mitochondria rely on to protect themselves during energy production. Every time mitochondria make ATP, they also produce free radicals as a byproduct. Superoxide dismutase neutralizes these free radicals before they can cause harm. With aging, your natural production of this enzyme drops significantly. Tart cherry anthocyanins help restore it toward youthful levels. Now here is how to add it to your coffee. Use 1 tablespoon of freeze-dried tart cherry powder and stir it into your finished cup of coffee. Freeze-dried is important because heat-dried or spray-dried versions lose up to 60% of their anthocyanin content during processing. The freeze-drying method preserves the full polyphenol profile. The taste adds a slightly fruity tartness to your coffee that most people find surprisingly pleasant. It pairs especially well with darker roasts. You want to look for Montmorency tart cherry powder specifically, as this variety has been the subject of most published clinical research and contains the highest concentration of anthocyanins among cherry varieties. A 2020 study published in Food and Function found that Montmorency tart cherries contained 31% more anti-inflammatory polyphenols than other tart cherry varieties tested. The timing with coffee also matters. Coffee itself is a rich source of chlorogenic acid, and when chlorogenic acid combines with cherry anthocyanins in the gut, they enhance each other's absorption. A study in the European Journal of Nutrition showed that consuming multiple polyphenol sources together increased total antioxidant bioavailability by 27% compared to taking them individually. So your coffee is not just carrying the cherry powder to your stomach. It is actively helping your body absorb more of the protective compounds. For anyone over 60 dealing with joint stiffness, chronic soreness, or just that general feeling of low-level inflammation that never quite goes away, tart cherry powder in your morning coffee is a simple and evidence-backed first step toward protecting the mitochondria your body desperately needs to keep running. That was number 5, and it already goes deep into cellular protection. But number 4 targets something even more fundamental inside your energy-producing machinery. Number 4, beetroot powder. This one might sound strange in coffee, but hear me out because the science is remarkable. Beetroot powder is one of the most researched nitric oxide boosters on the planet, and nitric oxide is absolutely essential for mitochondrial function after 60. Your body naturally produces nitric oxide to relax blood vessels and deliver oxygen to tissues. But production drops by roughly 50% between the ages of 40 and 70. That is a catastrophic decline because mitochondria are completely dependent on oxygen to produce ATP. Without adequate nitric oxide, blood vessels constrict, oxygen delivery slows down, and mitochondria begin to suffocate inside your own cells. A landmark study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology in 2021 gave adults aged 60 to 78 a daily dose of beetroot powder equivalent to 400 milligrams of dietary nitrate. After just 2 weeks, the participants showed a 16% improvement in oxygen delivery to skeletal muscle and a 19% increase in exercise efficiency, meaning their mitochondria were producing the same amount of energy using less oxygen. That is a direct measurement of improved mitochondrial efficiency. The mitochondria were not just getting more fuel. They were using that fuel more intelligently. Another study published in Hypertension found that daily beetroot consumption reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 points in older adults within 4 weeks. High blood pressure is directly linked to mitochondrial dysfunction because it forces the heart to work harder, which increases oxidative stress throughout the entire cardiovascular system. By lowering blood pressure naturally, beetroot powder reduces the oxidative burden on mitochondria in the heart, brain, kidneys, and every other organ. A 2022 paper in the journal Redox Biology discovered something even more impressive. Dietary nitrate from beetroot activated a mitochondrial pathway called the SIRT3 pathway, which is a sirtuin protein that sits inside mitochondria and directly regulates their function. SIRT3 activation improved mitochondrial membrane potential by 23% in aging cells, meaning the mitochondria could hold a stronger electrical charge, which is exactly what they need to produce ATP efficiently. Think of mitochondrial membrane potential like water pressure in a hydroelectric dam. The stronger the pressure, the more electricity you generate. SIRT3 keeps that pressure high. Now here is how to use it. Add 1 teaspoon of organic beetroot powder to your brewed coffee and stir well. The taste is earthy and slightly sweet, and it blends with coffee better than you might expect, especially with medium or light roasts. The color will change your coffee to a slightly reddish-brown tone, which looks unusual but is completely normal. You want raw, organic beetroot powder that has not been cooked or heavily processed, because high heat destroys the nitrate content. Some brands actually list the nitrate concentration on the label, and you want at least 300 milligrams of nitrate per serving for meaningful clinical benefit. The interaction with coffee here is particularly interesting. A 2019 study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that caffeine and dietary nitrate together produced a synergistic effect on vascular function that neither compound achieved alone. Caffeine stimulates the central nervous system and increases metabolic demand, while nitric oxide from beetroot ensures the blood vessels can dilate enough to meet that increased demand. The result is more efficient oxygen delivery precisely when your cells need it most, which is in the morning when your body is transitioning from sleep to wakefulness and mitochondria are ramping up energy production for the day ahead. For people over 60 who feel winded climbing stairs, sluggish in the morning, or notice that physical tasks take more effort than they used to, beetroot powder addresses the root cause by restoring oxygen delivery to starving mitochondria. Number 4 is a game changer for oxygen delivery. But number 3 works on an entirely different level, directly repairing the internal machinery of the mitochondria themselves. But before we continue, if you have been enjoying the video so far, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss more videos like this. Number 3. PQQ, pyrroloquinoline quinone. This compound has a complicated name but a simple job. PQQ is one of the only known substances that can stimulate the growth of brand new mitochondria in cells that have already lost them. That process is called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it is the holy grail of anti-aging research. Most antioxidants protect existing mitochondria. PQQ actually tells your body to make more of them. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry gave adults over 55 a daily dose of 20 milligrams of PQQ for 8 weeks. At the end of the trial, participants showed a 28% increase in markers of mitochondrial biogenesis compared to the placebo group. They also showed a 13% reduction in C-reactive protein, a key marker of systemic inflammation. The researchers concluded that PQQ activated PGC1 alpha, the master regulator gene that switches on the production of new mitochondria. This is the same gene that gets activated by intense endurance exercise and caloric restriction. PQQ flips that switch without requiring either. A separate study in the journal Food Style 21 found that PQQ supplementation improved short-term memory scores by 15% and attention scores by 17% in adults over 50 within just 12 weeks. The cognitive improvements were directly correlated with improved mitochondrial function in neural tissue. Your brain consumes about 20% of your body's total energy despite being only 2% of your body weight. It is the most mitochondria-dense organ you have. And when brain mitochondria decline, cognition is the first thing that suffers. PQQ helps reverse that by building new mitochondria specifically in the brain cells that need them most. The mechanism works like this. PQQ activates a signaling cascade that goes through CREB, a protein that controls gene expression in neurons, and then activates PGC1 alpha downstream. This double activation ensures that the new mitochondria being built are specifically targeted to neurons and other high-energy demand cells. No other known dietary compound triggers this exact cascade with this level of specificity. Here's how to add it to your coffee. PQQ comes in capsule form, and the easiest method is to open one 20 milligram capsule and pour the powder directly into your hot coffee. The powder dissolves easily and has almost no taste. If you find a brand that sells PQQ as a loose powder, even better. Just measure out 20 milligrams, which is a very small amount, roughly a tiny pinch, and stir it in. The heat from coffee does not degrade PQQ. A stability study published in the Journal of Food Science confirmed that PQQ maintained over 92% of its bioactivity at temperatures up to 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So your coffee is well within the safe range. The combination with coffee is actually strategic beyond just